Hasn't closed the gap yet, but I think he's capable of closing it all by himself, and he still has Majka behind Novak to do some work on the front. So looking at their faces, I don't think an attack of Pogačar is far away.
Do you think he has to go soon, Sean?
I think he'll be getting concerned, with this man here on our screen, because he is climbing really well, and these kilometres he have done here, he is looking very good here, and Pogačar is going to start panicking, and the DS is probably as well are thinking, oh, this is getting a bit more serious and a bit more dangerous than we're thinking about. But with Majka, when he takes it up, of course, he will just up that pace, and then Pogačar takes off, and that's when the explosion will happen here in this group. As we can see just further down there, little bike lengths appearing here, and when this man in second position, Majka, takes off, I think we will see this group splintering big time.
Keep your eyes on this. The decision time is now at the Giro d'Italia. We've seen Pogačar constantly on the radio in the last couple of kilometres, talking about the pace and rhythm, maybe discussing about when's best to go. But as we've been saying, and as the experts next to me keep saying, once this domino falls, the rest are going to go quickly. And we don't yet know quite which order they're going to fall and settle on. Today's GC, barring incident or accident on the streets of Rome tomorrow, just like the city itself, will be eternal. Nothing else to change.
And we just see Pogačar there. I think it was a gel. He took a sip of it and threw to the side. And just to be able to take a gel on a climb like this, when you're on the limit and you're trying to get oxygen down into you, it's so difficult. But he is looking so comfortable on this climb, as he has been right from the beginning here. And we can see the man on the front, he's starting to just tire a little bit, Domen Novak, and it's going to be pretty soon we see the man here giving orders.
Here we go.
He's going to take off pretty quickly.
Majka just had a quick word there around with Pogačar. You get the feeling you're in the last throes of the Novak effort now. Another kilometre ticks by. 1:36, it comes down that little bit more. Gesca, Stora, Rubio all hang on alongside here. Domen Novak is putting in one of the climbing performances of his life, and we've seen a few from him recently. Think back to Liège-Bastogne-Liège, that massive turn de launch Pogačar going into La Redoute. This is quite a bit longer than La Redoute. This, a monster of a climb, waiting for a monster of a rider to attack it, and we all know what's coming. Question is when. Pellizzari just has to focus on his own job. Gap goes down again, 1:32. A reminder, 10 kilometres ago when he started this climb, he had 2.5 minutes. It's down to 1.5 now. Pogačar's team has been doing the job. Pogačar's fans are waiting to see him put on another exhibition. But Pellizzari is at home in Italy. We've seen, we've heard them. An update in the gap to Baldi, 40 seconds to him now. Einer Rubio moving up.
I think after this flat or little easier part, we might see the last pull of Novak, and then I think Majka will take over and do the last little pull to launch Pogačar.
For anybody tuning in who did not see the first ascent of Monte Grappa, it's the hardest section that comes towards the end, isn't it, Sean?
It is by far, and it kicks up to that 15%, and the final 5 kilometres are really the difficult part. We have this section in the middle where you get a little bit of a flat or less gradient, a little bit of recovery time, but then in that final K, at the final 5K, sorry, that's where it really gets difficult. And it's going to be an interesting one, as we see the man leading here, Pellizzari. He is, still defending very well here, but will he be able to continue this for another 7 kilometres and also go into that final 5 kilometres? That is the question. He's been out here, riding on his own. And when you're riding on a climb, it does affect, even though you're not going as fast, you have to push yourself through the wind, where Pogačar's, mentally as well, you have the team around you to take you so far, and then you're into that point where you can do it alone.
Oh, he's screaming at this man with the light down the radio. The Reverberis, they've got some experience in there. Donati, Rossata, Moriello, they've been around a few Giri. And as we said before, there's a big drought. Oh, no. He doesn't need any hindrance, though. I know we're on Monte Grappa, but stay standing, mate. Here's Novak. A gel now as well from Majka. He's preparing himself for one final launch to Planet Pogačar. Another kilometre ticks by. Easier one before it gets hard again. In the Maglia Rosa group, riders on your screen. Handful of them. More than a handful of supporters on the side of the road. Yet again, they've come from all over the world. But the local heroes of the Veneto, once again putting on a show, a barbecue or two, and screaming their lungs out for the riders who were puffing their lungs out on the climb. 37.3 k's to go. We're still waiting, building up. Now then, that's it for Novak. It's time for Majka. The moment is near. Again, the road ramps up. The gap's now down to 1 minute 23 seconds, and there will be some worry in this group because Pogačar now, Sean, will not be far away.
No, you're not expected to be far away, depending on Majka, how good he is, and if he's really on a good day, well then he can go on for 2 kilometres, maybe even 3 kilometres, and take Pogačar a long ways up. So they will make that decision, and Pogačar will know the pace that Majka needs to set, and they will also be getting information that to the man out in front what the gap is. But the riders here, they know, because this is such a norm where Majka just sets that pace and then Pogačar sets off. So yeah, tighten your belt, guys.
Fasten the seatbelts then. They're waiting for clearance for takeoff. Martinez is on the wheel.
He hasn't sat down yet, I think, Majka.
And that's that for Geschke, so it's making an inroad, and look at the time gap disappearing. Always difficult to judge, isn't it, on the television? But Nathan, you had it right there. He really has chopped 20 seconds off, just like that. Up out in the saddle again. And behind they'll be gritting those teeth. Geschke's already disappeared up the back. O'Connor's starting to slip and slide a little here. And there are already gaps in the group behind before Pogačar even launches. The fight for the general classification. We know that in all reality, Tadej Pogačar finished the job a week ago. But he wants to dot the I's, desperate to cross the T's, and we're seeing behind those gaps for the places change already. Geraint Thomas is struggling to hold the wheel. Martinez is there. Tiberi moves up. There's Rubio. That's done for Arensman. 4th place and O'Connor. Well, that might be the best he can hope for now because he's losing the gap as well. And even before Pogačar's gone, it's all changed already.
Yes, and we can see, still gaps opening up. Tiberi there looking just to fighting big time to stay in the wheel, and it's just really blowing this group apart before Pogačar really pushes on. But I think before Pogačar pushes on, as we can see Geraint Thomas have a look around to see what's happening behind. The pace being set by Majka, this is the real killer one, and when Pogačar takes off, I don't think there's anybody able to match it, and then they will all be together.
This is it now. Tadej Pogačar on the pedals. He came up there.
Faster, please. Faster, please.
It looked like that was the moment, but keep your eyes on Geraint Thomas. A reminder, he's looking okay for the podium, but he will be a little worried about Antonio Tiberi, won't he?
He will be. I think Tiberi was around 40 plus seconds down.
Tiberi's 2:25 off the podium, but there's still 6 kilometres to go. And Thomas is just losing the wheel. Has to regulate his own effort. He'll be looking at the numbers, you think?
Yes, well, I think we know Geraint Thomas, the way he climbs, he just has to set his own pace. But still, at the point when Micah is still setting a strong pace, you would want to hold in there. It's when there's really that sudden acceleration by Pogačar. We've seen they don't try and match that at all. So, but he's not the only one. There's many of the GC men in difficulty here.
We thought the moment was approaching when Pogačar was up the pedals there. Micah's still going. Pogačar starts to move, starts to motor. A little chat from Micah. One more turn maybe. He's getting anxious, he's getting jittery. Pogačar can't keep his feet still. 52 seconds to the leader. Rubio still hanging in well.
Rubio has 2 minutes and 10 seconds to Arendsman to make up. These are all these battles are going on right now. It's not only for the stage or for the podium, but everybody wants to fight for their spot.
And of course Tiberi as well. He is on Connor, 42 seconds, and then to Geraint Thomas further up. So yeah, this is going to be a real time when you have to just think, where am I, who's ahead of me, where's the guys in the GC. You have to be able to work that out very quickly.
Thomas in the next group here, alongside O'Connor, who he's decided to watch. Of course, O'Connor 1:44 behind Thomas at the start of the day. Martinez looks like he's on the way to securing second place unless things change dramatically in favour of Thomas and Martinez blows up. That was a 22-second gap at the start of the day. This is the gap already that Pogačar takes. Tadej Pogačar off in search of one final piece of glory. The town where Merckx and Coppi have both won. He's won 5 stages at this Giro. If he can catch Pellizzari, win the stage today in pink, he'll have won more stages at a single Giro than the big man Eddie himself. Tadej Pogačar, hair tufts flying out the helmet, pedals away. We've been waiting for the moment. It's arrived, and he now has 31 seconds to close. Nat and his team has done a tremendous job there.
Yeah, great ride by Team UAE Emirates, I must say. They controlled the breakaway. They started controlling in the early parts of this stage. They controlled up the Ca del Poggio. They have all the right to win this stage, and Pogačar, it won't be long before he sees.
No need for that though, is there?
Not sure what happened there.
Fan trying to push him there. Here we go again. This is, if you're watching at home, you've never been to a bike race, maybe you want to get involved. This is a great example of what not to do.
Yeah, I said yesterday there's no bike racing without the fans, but the fans also need to respect the riders. And Pogačar is riding, I think more than fast enough. He doesn't need a push. If you're in the gruppetto, you can use a push.
They'll be desperate for it back there. 14 seconds then, Pogačar behind. He's already put almost a quarter of a minute into Martinez and company. And the gap between Martinez and Thomas we're looking at, because Martinez was travelling with Tiberi. Romario had to make up a good 2 minutes 25 to Geraint Thomas for the podium. This is Pellizzari, 17 seconds in front of Pogačar. Martinez putting 20 seconds into Thomas at the minute. He can see him. One acceleration from Pogačar and he's able to see the leader. Been a superb ride from Pellizzari. But Pog looks like he's on the way to finishing the job.
Well, we can see still 4.8 to go, and he's already got his man just a number of bike lengths ahead of him. And it was just a matter of how they would work it and tactic on this climb. And again, it's the same as we've seen so many times. The team doing the excellent job and just launching them. And the moment again that Pogačar took off, there was nobody trying to make that big effort to follow him at all. They just decided, okay, I have to make my own pace here. And as we see him just going by, and it'll be interesting to see the young rider here. Will he be able to cling on to Pogačar? And 4.7 to go. If he was in the final kilometre, he might be able to dig deep. This is going to be a difficult one for him. But this guy, he is a real talent, and it'll be interesting to see now how long he can. But you can see the gap back to the rest. And the GC, it's all to fight for now. And Tiberi is the one who could move up in the GC standings, depending on what way they go in this final 4.5 kilometres. As we can see, Tiberi setting the pace with Danny Martinez and Rubio on tow.
Tiberi's going to ride here because already taking 20 odd seconds out on Thomas. Takes another 2 minutes, he moves to the podium, and that for this young Italian rider will be absolutely incredible. 37 seconds behind, but it's not just Thomas who has plenty to fight for here. O'Connor has a teammate. Storr is there. That teammate, by the way, is Valentin Barré-Peintre, and Hirt's here as well. Storr and Hirt also stand to move up. There's a lot of common interest in this group, but the question is, do they have the legs? So Pogacar, that was an interesting moment, wasn't it? He came straight up to Pellizzani and pointed to his back wheel.
Yeah, I think he said like just try to follow my wheel, and he'll be able to finish on the podium if he can follow Pogacar to the top of this climb.
Every corner being taken to the limit here. Still 4 kilometres to climb, and the hardest part of this climb approaching now. The final stage that matters in the general classification at this 107th Giro d'Italia. And the general classification again on the way to changing. There are already big gaps, certainly from Pogacar to Martinez. That's going well over 8 minutes as it stands. A tailwind up towards the top of Monte Grappa. Thomas fighting to stay on the podium. With this gap, he's looking more than good enough. But there's a threat ahead in the shape of Antonio Tiberi, the best young rider so far in this Giro d'Italia. Started the day in 5th, immediately threatening Ben O'Connor, who is 42 seconds behind. He's not yet moved up into 4th, has Tiberi, but he's on the way to doing it. This is Arendsman at the back. And of course the white jersey now is looking a distant dream, isn't it, Nathan? Now then, here we go. He didn't manage to hang on to the wheel for too long. Pogacar alone. Our taxidermist is back instead of Dries Devenijns. It's a real world star in Pogacar this time. You remember this man from 2017. Don't know if it's the same fox. Things have moved on a bit since then. There's a new world star at the front, and Monte Grappa is on its way to seeing another historic moment. With the man in pink, it's Pog, and again, it looks like being perfection.
Well, it's certainly a big ride again by Pogacar. That's what we're expecting today. You know, he talked about this stage a lot. He wanted to win it. There's so much history and, you know, past winners, all of that. They definitely weren't going to leave this one slip. And we see immediately they started to control in the earlier part of the day when the break got away. And the form this man has been in, every time it's a mountaintop finish, you know, he's just untouchable. And again today, the same situation.
They rev it up for the main man. Tadej Pogacar has dominated this Giro d'Italia, certainly since day 2. He was only beaten to the win by Narvaez on the opening day. It has been absolutely incredible. Show-stopping stuff at times. Here was Pogacar. He didn't need that in his way, but he certainly needed them cheering for him. Slovenian fans and Pogacar delighting them. So 54 seconds on the Martinez group. They in turn have 15 seconds to Thomas. That, by the way, for you British followers and Geraint Thomas fans, fans of longevity in the sport, and maybe another record oldest rider ever to finish on the podium. It's looking good for Thomas.
He deserves it as well.
He's been so consistent, a real fighter at the age of 38 today.
I think Ainer Rubio is having the ride of his life. This is a proper mountain. I mean, 18 kilometers climbing at 8%, and he's still up there actually. Next to Pogacar, these are the 3 best climbers in the race.
Martinez confirming what we're talking about him earlier on as well. Not the biggest of gaps here. Pant's doing a great job for that Thomas and O'Connor group.
Yes, and they're really doing well here, and it looked like at the point it all blew apart in this group. There were going to be bigger gaps. I thought they would lose, a lot more time already at this point, but they are all defending well, and I think the riders, they know as well what they're capable of doing. And Ben O'Connor, we see in the early part of this race, he made the mistake of trying to follow Pogacar, and Geraint Thomas, we know he's got the experience, so he knows how much he can push the limit to, and then at that point you have to go at your own pace. And that's what's shown on the timing here, that they're all defending pretty well, except for some of the ones who really blew in the mid part of the climb, who ran out of power. They're all going pretty okay.
Minute and 4 to Martinez. The gap grows. No time on Pellizzari, but it seems as though as soon as the road came uphill again, that was that for the young Italian. Second and third on the podium on your screen at the moment. Second place Martinez, only taking 12 seconds on Thomas. It's the time really between Tiberi and Thomas we're most interested in. Of course, if it goes the other way, it's only a 22-second gap for Thomas to take on Martinez, and if Thomas gets back on at the top here, Martinez is going to have to descend well as well. Remember, 30 k's downhill, short ramp of around 1.5 kilometers as well. Still time for either legs to stop working there, or mistakes to be made. We've seen it's a technical descent coming up. Again, it's just getting darker, isn't it? That sort of foreboding sense of bad things, maybe. If you're not going well, if you're not going well, it could get worse. But here is the one who's struggling in this group. Martinez, Tiberi, Rubio. Rubio started the day in 8th place, moving up in the standings.
He already has 38 seconds on Arendsman right now. These guys, they have the same interests, so they're going to be working together in the descent. I don't know if Arendsman is alone or in a group, but that difference can go up very quickly in the descent.
What is there left to say about Tadej Pogacar? Utter dominance on his way to victory on Giro debut. Going to be his first Grand Tour win in almost 3 years, by the way. And it's coming off the back of that stellar start elsewhere. Who knows what else is to come? We're nearly at the end of May, and July's not far off. Plenty to come for Giulio Pellizzari too, and he deserves every little bit of the applause he's getting here. Listen to that.
It's like an 18-kilometer long Quaremont.
Sounds like they've had a few Quaremonts.
Yeah.
Thankfully, no cobbles. 1.5 k's to go to the top for Pogacar. In the pink jersey, poised and primed to put on another perfect demonstration again. There's a real hint of the greats about how he's taken on this Giro. I know you'll all be saying it in your tellies at home that the competition's not here. In fact, Nathan, your boss Richard Plucher was saying that in an interview the other day. Let's see how he goes on in summer when the competition's different. Talking the talk like he always does. And yes, there's an element of truth about that, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And Sean, it's been hugely impressive because yes, he's been superior on the road, but there's all the other stuff he's had to deal with. Podiums every day, trying to say the right things. Even before we turned up, we said he'd won it.
Yes, well, he was the big favourite, but again, you have to be able to come out and manage that for 3 weeks, and he has done this excellent. He hasn't put a foot wrong, the other riders, maybe the challengers weren't as big as he might be having in the Tour de France, but still, you have to be able to digest all of that over the 3 week period. And he's proven in everything, as you say, Rob, the interviews, post race, all of that, he is able to carry himself out very well. And it's going to be an interesting one going forward after this very difficult Giro, how we will recover from this. And we know situation for Tour de France as well. Some of the big contenders getting badly injured, how good they will be. All of that in the next number of weeks, we will see a clearer picture.
Valentin Paquet-Peintre continuing his excellent ride, bottom left-hand side of the screen. And for Thomas O'Connor. And here's Storer as well, another man who's fighting to make sure he moves up in the top 10. It's sort of job day saved here. Certainly for Geraint Thomas so far. The gap he had to lose if he used to lose the podium was a considerable, wasn't it? Almost 2.5 minutes. And they're keeping that gap to just 10 seconds right now with the help of Paquet-Peintre. Some good firefighting from the Frenchman.
Oh no, he's worth his weight in gold, we say in Belgium.
The problem is he's not very heavy, but yeah, I understand what you mean. Oh, again they're interfering. And you can understand why he's nervous. We were just saying the job's done, or at least we think it is. You've got to stay on your bike. And it's making me nervous watching this, I have to admit.
Yes. Yeah, I don't like it. He almost needs security next to him.
I understand their passion, and we want it to remain there, but we seem to have this discourse every time we go into these mountains.
Yeah, but I mean, I said it before. Cycling is nothing without its fans, but they also need to respect the rider and also the effort, because he might be the best rider in the race, but still he's performing at a very high level and he's suffering. Yeah. And if you're suffering and somebody touches you, it's just not enjoyable. And I can understand his reaction.
It's almost like he's running the gauntlet, isn't he, with the people coming close to him here. Again, having a move left and right. They do get close, and once more, the understandable excitement is there, but he doesn't need to be touched. We've seen it before at the Giro, haven't we? Montezon-Colin.
Yes, and we can see the motorbike there was leaving to get close just to open up the spectators, not allow them to come in too much on him. And it's always been a problem in the big climbs, the monstrous climbs. You see it all the time in those big races, but it's always frightening. And when you're there, you're riding, you're just hoping that they will stand aside. And when riders start touching as well, it's very off-putting, and it affects your concentration.
He's put 1 minute 35 into Giulio Pellizzari, 1 minute 44 into Martinez and co, almost 2 minutes into Geraint Thomas, Ben O'Connor and that group. Tadej Pogačar, an absolute beast. The discussions as to how great he is, we'll be having them when he finishes, but I think he will not be out of place with some of the names that have won down in Bassano del Grappa. He's king of the mountains anyway. Over the top there, maximum points. It's not just the pink jersey that Tadej Pogačar will be taking. The blue jersey as king of the mountains at this Giro. Although I'm sure he didn't set out to win it, he is going to win it. The climbing's done. And now on the descent, Sean, I guess it's play it as safe as possible, and the stage will be his.
Yes, well, you have to play it safe, and when you're made aware of the situation behind, because the stage victory is definitely what they have been preparing for. So yeah, get that, take it, but not take too much risk either. And the advantage he has, he'll be made aware of that. We can see the team cars already over the top with him there, so he's in a great situation now, and get down safely and take another stage. And what a way they have done it once again.
Hat off to Giulio Pellizzari. I'll try and hang on here just to see what he can take with the points. He's already going to be wearing the blue jersey tomorrow. Won't be his, but he'll better line up next to Pogačar in Rome. And that second place on that first category climb is more than the reward that he wanted. Brilliant. Thomas burying himself here, trying to save every second. This hurts. Yeah.
This is really, you really need to put your finish line on top of his climb, even though it's 28 kilometers from the finish line, from the proper finish line. So you really need to go all out over the top, because that's where you make the biggest time differences.
Pogačar on his way back to Bassano del Grappa. And even on the descent, looking $1 million. Look how he leans into the corners.
Well, he's just impressive. He's able to do it all, and climbing, time trialing, descending. He's able to ride all the cobbles. This guy is just an unbelievable. He can the talent he's got. He's just a freak of nature, because he can just do everything.
Have you ever seen anybody like this?
Never. And I think we'll be a long time before we'll see anybody like it, because as Nathan will, I suppose, have seen it and ridden with him, we see more of the cobble classics against the big riders that, have the power there, and he was able to ride away from them on the cobbles, and, he can do descending. And, bike riding, it's a package as well. To win a big 3-week tour, you have to be able to do all of that. You have to be able to have the health to get through the 3 weeks, not getting sick. You have to be able to climb the mountains. You have to time trial. You have to be able to ride in the peloton. Like, there's a big package there to win a 3-week tour, and then to win classics, it's another extra package, and he has got everything.
No, I agree. I completely agree that Pogačar is not only a great climber, because yesterday in his interview said this is the last chance for us climbers. But for me, he is not a climber. Sepp Kuss, that's a proper climber. He's one of the best climbers in the world. But Pogačar is so versatile. He can win Tour of Flanders, but I'm quite sure next year he'll have a go at Paris-Roubaix. I wouldn't know why. And the worst thing you can do, being Mathieu van der Poel or Wout van Aert or Mats Pedersen, is underestimating his abilities to win a race like that. I mean, you would think if you can win a mountain stage like this today, you're never going to be able to win Paris-Roubaix. But with him, it's a completely different thing.
When he lined up in Flanders a couple of years ago for the first time, of course, classics were your bag. Were you thinking about him? Were you taking him seriously?
Of course. Of course, yeah. We spent a few good minutes in the meeting talking about Pogačar, because he's one of the best riders in the world, and it would be very arrogant not to think about him.
"25 kilometres remain in the penultimate stage of the Giro d'Italia. The last mountain test. The giants of the Giro are gone. No more mountains to climb. Tomorrow's processional stage in Rome. Yes, everybody has to stay on their bikes. Everybody has to finish. But that should be for the sprinters. The general classification gaps that remain today will be set in stone as we go to the Old City tomorrow. They can still be changed on this descent back to Bassano del Grappa. The 9th time we've had a Giro stage finish here, and it's Tadej Pogačar. He's on his way to adding his name to the list of winners. It's going to be 6 stage wins. 6 out of 20 stages. If this gap holds, Tadej Pogačar is going to win the Giro d'Italia by almost 10 minutes. Dani Martinez follows at 1 minute 56. Geraint Thomas, there's a little bit of a scare as Tiberi pulled ahead in the Martinez group, but he's holding this gap very well at 15 seconds. A reminder that Tiberi needs 2 minutes 25 to the podium. It looks as though, unless something changes, incident, accident, anything bizarre, and it can always happen going through these woods. We know that there's damp patches and all sorts of technical turns, but it looks as though the podium in the order is staying the same.
Yes, it does, and we can see Tiberi is going down better than the other ones. Dani Martinez is, not as comfortable, but back in the group of Geraint Thomas, O'Connor as well. Harry Panther is pushing on a bit, and they are also, I think, thinking, let's not take too much risk here, because they're only, 13 or 14 seconds, I think, behind that group of Dani Martinez, the Geraint Thomas O'Connor group. So, yeah, and for the pink jersey as well, there should be no reason why you take that risk when you see the gaps they've got here. For the stage win for Tadej Pogačar, and for the GC men as well, they should be made aware of that very quickly by their DSs, and play safe now and get down this descent and get to the finish.
Tiberi's looking good. Wondered how he would go in this final week. He's been, again, you talk about one of the revelations being Pelayo Sanchez in terms of stage hunting, but in general classification, I have to say at the start of the year, I didn't have Antonio Tiberi down as somebody who could be this high up in the Giro d'Italia.
No, me neither, and I was talking about it in Dutch commentary with Karsten and Jeroen about what happened in San Marino when he was still riding for Trek Segafredo back then. And we were talking about it. You think they wouldn't have let him go if they saw this potential already in him, because after what happened in San Marino, you know the name and you follow the name a little bit, and then I honestly didn't know he was capable of doing this. I didn't know he was such a good rider.
Certainly not anybody as good as climbing as this. As Pogačar said, he didn't come and do a recon of this stage, by the way, but he said the first ascent and descent to be the recon, and that proving the case there. Little left, right, but he's got time to play with. And this is the section now where it climbs a little bit again. 1.4 Ks to the top and more bonus seconds, although he certainly doesn't need them. Pretty in pink today, or prettier in more pink. And with that little number, you can see 191. Every time he wins a stage, he gets a sticker on the number. If he comes back to the Giro d'Italia next year, which I'm not sure he will, but if he does, he'll have the number 1. There'll be a bit more space for a few more medals because they're running out of space here. 6 stages.
I'm wondering if the bottle is going to be pink as well tomorrow. It's the only thing that is not pink on his bike.
He's been gradually building up, hasn't he? That's been utter dominance. I know you've been heavily involved in trying to beat him in the last couple of years, Nathan, but you know, you're a fair man and you will recognise that a performance in a Grand Tour this dominant in this modern era, it's tough to find one, isn't it?
No, it's true. I mean, I completely agree. I think Jonas last year in the Tour de France, he also had a 7-minute lead over Pogačar, and was also in very dominant fashion. But of course, Jonas is a great friend of mine, and I'll always support him. But as a fan of cycling, you must be able to say what Pogačar did in this Giro is extraordinary, and you need to respect this. This performance. It's the same with the performance of Mathieu van der Poel in Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix, winning in the World Championship jersey. It is it's a part of history.
Thankfully saved something for later. All of that extra work on the mountain requires an extra boost of energy. A lot made of his new coach over the winter. Big training camp at Sierra Nevada. And look, even on the way to winning, he can please everybody as well. He's just an all-round superstar. Here we go. Doesn't matter which team you support. I don't need it, it's for you. Amazing. Well, all the talk and all the rumours at the start, there's those numbers. The organisers wanted him here, let's leave it at that. They'll be happy about how they got him here, won't they?
Well, he was definitely worth his weight in gold to be here, because the way he's been riding and the way he's carried himself, we mentioned that a few times, you know, pre-post race interviews, all of that, you know, he has been great for the Giro and for cycling. And you know, the way he carries himself, you see there that gesture, you know, giving that bottle to the kid there on the side of the road, and to be able to do that when you're in that focus and you're thinking about, you know, what's coming up, the rest of the descent, all of that, and to be just alert to think about that and do that, this guy, just not only that talent on the bike, but in many other ways.
Oh, we've all seen the comments under the videos on social media, and I know you're normally a thing to be ignored. But again, everyone will see that, and you'll get the usual people not believing what they're seeing, Nathan. As someone coming from the peloton, what would you say to those people?
Yeah, it's... I can understand people think that way, but I mean, so much has changed over the last few years in cycling. Nutrition, bikes. We're talking about this being the fastest Giro ever ridden. It's not only it's not only the abilities of the riders to ride fast, but it's also the nutrition. I'm here with Robbie McEwen and then Lloyd. We have dinner together every night, and they come up with these stories that riders go out and party. This doesn't happen anymore during a Grand Tour. I mean, this is that all. If you factor that all in, it's normal that such performances, extraordinary performances, they can happen.
Rubio, 20k to go. Tiberi's here. These two groups coming together again. They thought they got away. Rubio's trying, but what a ride from Paris-Peintre, from O'Connor, Thomas and Storer.
Yes, well, Paris-Peintre has done a magnificent job for his leader, Ben O'Connor here, just to grind his way back up to this Tiberi group, and Martinez, as we can see, he's pushing on. But yeah, that is the experience as well. Geraint Thomas, I did say in the earlier part, just knows what he can do, how much he can push himself and not go into the red.
2 minutes to Martinez, but he's trying. He wanted to win a stage. Not going to be the case at this Giro, but it's going to be his best ever general classification performance. And he wants to finish it too in style, just like everybody. They're all over the road on their own, these guys now.
Yeah, it's really survival of the fittest on this day.
And I guess as well, any problems, he wants to make sure of that second place. He's only got 22 seconds to Thomas.
Well, I think is he trying to get ahead, maybe to get onto the descent? I'm not sure, because he was pretty comfortable with Tiberi there, and the other group coming up, I'd not be too concerned about that. But maybe for the descent, he wants to just get a little bit of a lead start to get on here, because we did see him with Tiberi in the earlier part where he wasn't able to follow that pace. But yeah, when you look at the distance to the finish, still 18 kilometres is a long ways, and yeah, these guys, I think they will continue on to work, and Paris-Peintre just continue on to push here, and I think we could see more coming back together again and joining, becoming a bigger group.
Arensman losing a minute on his teammate Thomas, because it's his gap to Tiberi that's the important one. It's more or less the same. Apparently, I've just been told in my ear by producer Pete that knowing that Pogacar's gone over, this week quiet, Robbie McEwen's fallen asleep in the green room.
Well, this is not Robbie's terrain.
You can't be asleep in the gruppetto today, though, can you? You're still going to make the time cut. Robbie, wake up, Rome's tomorrow.
He already fell asleep before the stage started.
Did he? Oh, the mountains are getting to him.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of the stage, it's done. All he has to do is stay on his bike here. It's the nature of how it's going to go today, as we see Tiberi.
And we can see 1:56 back to Martinez. We did see Martinez, making that effort on that short climb we just went over here. Pogacar is going down at a very good pace, but not anything where it's taking risk at all, but still holding that 2 minute just fraction under, and he knows that this is a comfortable situation, going to take the stage victory as he set out to do. And the guys here are going down as well, and they're not going to take any more risk now at this point in the race. And Geraint Thomas, O'Connor, they almost got back, but because Danny Martinez pushed on there on that final ramp, but they know they're within striking distance. They might get back to him there, and if they don't get back to him, they know there's only 10-15 seconds maximum to them out in front, so no panic and no reason to panic whatsoever.
Looking good. Just over 15 kilometres to go. We're going to go and send Nathan to wake up Robbie and to get in the breakaway with Ola and Dan as well, because they need to get ahead, certainly if they're going downhill here. Thank you very much, Nathan. An absolute pleasure to be with you for another historical moment.
Thank you.
Sean Kelly will stay with me, Rob Hatch, to the finish. 15 kilometres to go. Sean, we've been so lucky over the last decade and a bit of commentating the Giro together and other races as well to see so many fantastic things, and we're running out of things to say about Tadej Pogacar, but today's just another chapter, isn't it? And you could see how he announced it as the week was going by. Even yesterday was sort of hinting, yeah, breakaway, you go for it, this is your day, tomorrow I'm having it. The pressure's been on since the start and everything's been executed to perfection.
Yes, well, he's just going on and setting records as we go on, and another one today. He's going to win here, of course, with this stage having so much history, the past winners, all of that, and as the race leader as well. When you have a big mountain stage, penultimate day, they all want to win in the big tours, just to honour the jersey, and he is doing it, with style. The only thing I would say, racing, and I've said it to some of my bike mates, when you have a guy so good, sometimes the end of the race gets a little bit boring because they dominate so much, and the suspense is not there in the very end. But it's still, you have to recognise what the performance those guys are doing here, because the guys who are trying to match them, beat them, they're a huge talent as well. But as we've said many times, Pogacar, the talent he has got is just an amazing. It's something I have never seen, and it's going to be difficult to see it in the near future.
Can he do the double? Can he win in July?
I think the way he's looking, he can win in July, and the way he's been so comfortable here in this Giro. If he was in difficulty on a number of days, you would say then he has to go deep to defend, but he hasn't been in that situation at all. So looking at it, July, he's for me the big favourite, and of course circumstances as well, because of crashes and that to the riders who are going to be challenging him for the July 1, the Tour. It looks more and more likely that he can win the double.
I know that it's about getting on for 5 p.m. Central European time, where Evenepoel, Visma bike minus Vingegaard for the moment, and where Roglic are all at training camps at altitude. They're probably watching this right now.
Sure.
Are there any sort of weaknesses that they can get at with this man while they watch this and think about how they're going to take him on?
Well, you will always take the pluses, and you will say that this Giro has been difficult for Pogacar, and record average, all of that, and the way they have raced, every day, they're going to be saying, well, he has to get tired from this. He will suffer in July a bit, and depending on July, what way the race is ridden as well, the Tour de France, weather conditions, we know the heat is something that maybe he doesn't like, the real warm conditions, all of that. But as a challenger to this man here, you're going to try and take some things, positive things out of it, and you're hoping that will be the case, because of course they all want to win the one in July.
Yes. All of you watching, I hope you've enjoyed your training rides. This is what you're up against. 11.5 kilometres to go. Tadej Pogacar descending from Monte Grappa, having done the damage on the other side. Look at that, into that corner, travelling before at 90 odd kilometres per hour. Adam saying, by the way, that it's been quite a stressful day for sports directors and cars behind, with the crowd there, nervous moment for their riders, desperately trying to save their positions in the general classification. There's been so many people on the side of the road that the signal hasn't been great to hear from him too much. But he's been feeding that information to us. You're an absolute star, Adam. As is everybody in this group. And for all of our viewers, especially watching in Wales, Great Britain, a mention for Geraint Thomas, because he's 8th birthday today, Sean. And he's going to extend his record that he set last year of being the oldest ever podium finisher at this rate. He's just evergreen, isn't he? Continues, every year we turn up at the start of the year and we think, oh, is Geraint going to be good this year? There's that old school slow build up, but you set him a target, put an objective in front of it, he invariably meets it.
Well, it's an amazing career he's had, and the longevity of the career as well. We heard Dan Lloyd talking there, when he was in, I think, his national championships so many years ago, and he's still here. And when you see Geraint Thomas, the palmarès he already have. 2 or 3 years ago, some guys would say, oh, what's the point here, taking all this risk and all this suffering and all the commitment you have to put in there, the hard work away from family, all of that. It's something, it takes a lot of mental power, and in the earlier part of the career, financial gain is an important one for riders, because it's a short career. You have to make your money in a short space of time. You have 8 or 10 years, maybe a bit more in Geraint Thomas's case. But when you get to that point and you have done quite well, then it's more difficult to keep that motivation. But he's able to do it and able to return every year, and that just proves, that hunger is still there, and it's amazing. As you get older as well, to keep healthy, all of that, he's just, and super athlete also.
Inside 10 kilometres. Pogačar, that last corner, very, very wide indeed, but goes safer this time. Increases his gap. And the way it stands now, he is going to win the Giro by 10 minutes. Look at that. Well, he might be back here after he's finished to take in the views. Now the views that he'll be admiring the most will be those from the podium here, and then when he gets to the Eternal City tomorrow, and he will be the eternal champion of the 2024 Giro d'Italia. Into the final 8Ks of this 20th stage of the Giro. Started at the beginning of the day under very, very heavy rain. 4,200 metres to climb from Alpago to Bassano del Grappa. Looking at the man who helped launch the hostilities, Rafał Majka. Plenty of chat about Pogačar. We've also talked about his team. MVP Lengen, but Majka's used his experience as well as his power at this particular Giro. As Pogačar flies down the hill again. An old school racer who wants to win everything. Tadej Pogačar on course for the most complete palmarès in men's cycling since Merckx. A nice thing about him coming here as well at the Giro, I say this from a personal point of view, because I'm very much of the opinion that cycling is more than July. He's aware that this sport doesn't begin and end with the Tour de France. You've seen him go to the classics, come here. Bet your life it won't be long before he's back at the Vuelta, where he made his Grand Tour debut in 2019. He'll want to win that too. Here's the Martinez group. Thomas in it as well. Pellizzari hanging on. Another day to celebrate for him, an Italian cycle. Growing the gap on the Arensman group here to 1:30. And we are going to see changes in the top 10. Snakes and ladders for the final time. afraid tomorrow in Rome there's no movement of the lift either up or down.
And we can see Arnsman there, he's really pushing on, because Rubio is the one who is further down the GC. You have roughly about 2:10 he had, so we can see there that's the reason Arnsman is riding to defend his place in the overall, which he started out this morning 6th place. And yeah, it's a battle up front here, as we can see the riders chasing this man, but also further down in the mount, further back on the descent, let's say, there's another race going on, and everybody in the top of that GC standings are trying to defend their places as best possible.
He knows it. It's done. It's dusted. He can breathe a sigh of relief. All he's got to do tomorrow is stay on his bike and enjoy the show in Rome. Who knows, Pog being Pog, he might contribute to it. As Molano will be wanting a sprint win. Well, Pogacar's already provided one lead out so far. 5Ks to go here. That'll be all over the internet. He knows he's done it. Brilliant. Well, the rocket took off on Monte Grappa. Back to the ground here. But having all it's meant to have done has been done. He has destroyed the competition again. And tomorrow's stage being a procession, well, it started early here. Look at this. Wonderful scenes. They greet him in their thousands. Cycling mad northeast Italy, with the greatest cyclist of his generation. He's looked the part since the start. Shade of pink different every day. An extra accessory taking on the Corsa Rosa colour. And here he is, resplendent in the stuff, winning for a 6th, maybe final time, given the sprinters should have their chance tomorrow. Told you they'd struggle to fit an extra sticker there. They're going to find some room somehow. 191's been number 1. And UAE Team Emirates. Well, it'll be good as a team, because last year they had to sit and watch, didn't they? All 3 Grand Tours went to the competition. But they're back in front, back on top of the perch for now. 3Ks to go. Let's follow those chasing in. It's Martinez with Thomas, Pellizzari, O'Connor, Tiberi. It's going to be a big result for Italy, the best young rider. That's not going to change now. Antonio Tiberi will be taking a prize from this Giro d'Italia. Arnsman at 3:18, a further minute back. Jan Hirt said to be somewhere in the middle. And this is Pogacar, as another kilometre's about to tick by. It's almost time to remember what he's done in this race. He won in Europa, Perugia, Prati di Tivo, Livigno, Val Gardena. And now he's going to add his name to those very famous of Campionissimi who've won in Bassano del Grappa. And Sean Kelly, he's deserving of the status, I think. He is going to put in one of the performances in recent history, in not just the Giro d'Italia, but in any Grand Tour.
Well, this is the one that just goes on, and he is putting in these performances, and when you just think about stages he has won, a lot of them the big monument stages, and this one is to cap it all off in Bassano Grappa. The names have won here. There's history to all of this, and the way he's riding here, in this final, he's 2:14 up on Martinez, but he's travelling along here he's probably doing 40 plus kilometres per hour here, and we can see the group behind. They've been chasing, and the gap has been growing out. It just shows, how much stamina this guy have got, and the way he's finishing this Giro, and taking another stage victory. And talking about tomorrow, well, that can't happen tomorrow, because with the stage being for the sprinters and a pan flat stage, there's no way he can win tomorrow. But this is another one which will go down in the books.
Tadej Pogačar all alone. The pink jersey in the Veneto, the most serene of solo arrivals to the line. On his own on the road, and it's the same story at the top of the standings. The general classification at this Giro d'Italia is going to be won by somebody who's taken 6 stages and almost in and around 10 minutes on his rivals. Surviving a double shot of Monte Grappa in a Giro that's been attacked at record speed. The latest of the Campionissimi. His name is Tadej Pogačar. Into Bassano del Grappa. A turn and up to the finish line. They roar him on. It's a hero's welcome to the man who has been utterly dominant. Coppi and Merckx both won here. And Pogačar is a name that increasingly seems at home with those two greats. Tomorrow, failing incident or accident on the roads of the eternal city Rome, Tadej Pogačar will win on debut the 107th Giro d'Italia. It's Pog in pink, perfection. A real hint of the greats about that performance. You are watching a legend at work. And now they can start celebrating. Just a procession, ceremony to follow. And Pogačar has won the Giro. In all reality, the job was finished a week ago. But he had to stay up there. He's won the stages he wanted, set the target for today. His team took aim. Now then, here's the fight coming in behind. Antonio Tiberi in white, set to be the best young rider of the Giro d'Italia. Dani Martinez following Geraint Thomas. Pogačar's partner Uška Šigat is in town, and they're ready to celebrate. But behind there will be big moments too. It's going to be another podium place for Geraint Thomas. He will be the oldest ever rider to finish on the podium. 38 years old today. It'll be a happy, happy birthday for the Welshman, who survived a late crash yesterday, being distanced on the climb today, but he has held firm. And for the man just above him, Dani Martinez, finishing on the podium of a Grand Tour for the first time in his career. A great start to life at Bora Hansgrohe. Every one of these warriors deserves their welcome. O'Connor threatened by 5th place today as well. He waited, he hung on. Decathlon making sure of the team classification. They started the day with a nice big lead, 19 minutes, and they're going to win that team classification. Decathlon do it. Dani Martinez making sure he's there to try and take some bonus seconds. This is Michael Storer, Tudor Pro Cycling's Grand Tour debut. A King of the Mountains already at the Vuelta, and it looks as though he's on the way into the top 10 at this Giro. I'll have to wait and see what the final distances are. He started in 12th place today, but he's hung on much higher. Behind Arensman will fight, Caruso will come in with him. This is Jan Hirt, who's also on his way to a top 10 finish at a Grand Tour. And Tijmen Arensman, well, it's not going to be the white jersey. A hiccup at the start of this Giro, but he's finished it strongly. The man at the back there, white jersey, he'll be smiling. He'll be celebrating because Rafał Majka is going to end up on the winning team as the man who's provided the assists for Pogačar to pulverise the competition. He is delighted and having a little bit of a sparring match with an old mate there, Caruso. But it's Pink Pog who's going to take the prize. The celebrations in earnest can now begin. It's been a strange old final week, Sean. We've sort of known what's coming, and it was same this morning when we turned up, but Pogačar has pulled it off to perfection.
Well, perfectionist all the way, and again today, perfect planning, perfect finish to the stage.
Doppia cifra come vantaggio. Per il momento dalla postazione cronaca è tutto, grazie e buon pomeriggio a tutti voi. Tra poco appuntamento con le premiazioni.
It's done, and these are the results. Tadej Pogačar winning by 2 minutes 7 seconds, taking the bonuses as well. And the final general classification gap, it's going to be in and around 10 minutes.